G'day guys, welcome to another episode of COVID Convos, where we have real conversations with real people about what wellbeing looks like in a pandemic. I'm Justin Griggs, or Griggsy. Thrilled to be here for our first episode in a little bit, and I've got the team. We're trialing a couple of different things tonight, and instead of asking them how they are, I'm going to ask a very pos-site question, which is, Kesh, what's gone well, mate?
What's going well? I woke up on time, so it's like 6 a.m. here in Australia, and didn't sleep in. Here, I'm awake, I'm ready to go. That's pretty good.
It's not a bad start to the day. Simon?
G'day guys, yeah, similar for me. I got up about an hour ago and just had a nice peaceful hour in the house while everyone else was still asleep, and had a coffee and a bit of a sit on the couch, and so it's been a great way to start the day.
That sounds amazing, Simon. A very committed host as well, getting up an hour before the show just to get in the right headspace. I'm sure our audience will appreciate that. Oh, losing the voice. We've got a very special guest with us today, Sarah Belair. How are you, Sarah?
Hi, I'm good, thank you.
Excellent. Thanks for coming on the show. And do you want to start by just giving our guests and us a little bit of a background about you and what you do?
So about me, I live in Montreal in Canada, or else I'm a dance teacher too. So I really love kids. I love a lot of people, to be with them, smiley. I laugh a lot. If I could talk about me, I laugh all the time.
That's a fantastic quality to have, and we've already seen that smile quite a bit just in the pre-show chat, Sarah. So I don't doubt that for a second. Sarah, we've actually come to have you on the show through a connection, previous guest that we had, which was Justine, who well, maybe it's better if you explain how you know Justine.
So actually, Justine, she was a nurse of my mother. How do they know each other? Because my mother had the COVID-19. So she went to the hospital, and it was not the first hospital that she met Justine. It was the second hospital. So she got transferred, and she was the nurse nighttime for my mother. So I was calling at the hospital to have news, and it's most of the time it was Justine that was the nurse of my mom. So it's like that I had a little connection with her, how I knew it.
Okay, so for those who have been following the show, I guess, religiously and watched every episode, or at least have watched that episode, they might remember that Justine was talking about somebody who had shown gratitude to her, and and how much she'd appreciated that gratitude had been shown, and that is Sarah. So, Sarah, do you want to explain why you, I guess, made the special effort to get in touch with Justine to show her how much her efforts were meaning to you?
So first, whenever actually COVID-19, we don't know but actually we know what it is, but it's a little bit of un inconnu that we don't know about. So, and I couldn't go see my mother at the hospital because of the COVID-19. There was so many things that was going on for we don't catch it, or else we already catched it. But I was grateful because my mother was alone down there, and all the nurses were doing all the works that, like example, to be there for my mother, to talk to her, to know about everything. So just the work that they was doing so hard, and I knew that somebody was taking care of my mother, and like she was really sweet. She was answering all of my questions that I had anxiety about. So just for her, that she could like calm me down and like be there for my mother and do the best that she could do to help my mother, that was really grateful for me.
Sarah, yeah, I'm sorry to hear, obviously, that your mum has been unwell with this virus, and it must have been a really tough time for her and all you guys in her family. How is she feeling now, and how are you guys going with it now that you're coming out the other side?
So it's been more than a week that she's home. Everything's fine. It's going well. There's still a little bit anxiety. We're stressed a little bit to know like what could go on, because we don't hear a lot that after the COVID-19, after you got it, the coronavirus, what happens? We don't know what's happening, what's going on, how it is at the house. But for now, it's going really well. It's sure that it's hard. It's step by step. Because my mother was in the bed for like 19 days at the hospital. So everything that was like to walk, the effort to think about her muscles and everything was like really weak. And her lungs too, because it was she got it really in the lungs. There's some people that has a more muscle pain and everything, but my mother was really the lungs that she got hit. So it's more that to be home, it's going well, but there's a little part of me that's always nervous to like, if example, can she drop back in? Can she catch it again? Can she had it like, can her breathing go not well for a moment? So everything's going fine. We're taking day by day. We could see that there's nice progress of my mother that's going well, and it's fun to see. She laughs, she's smiling, everything's going fine for that, but there's still like a little piece of me that's still worried about like what could happen wrong. But slowly everything's going really fine, but it's day by day we're taking it.
Sorry, Sarah. Just a bit of a standoff there between me and Simon while we were waiting to ask a question. Both so keen to get into it. Just interested, when you're trying to get this information, what sort of process are you going through to try and work out, the answers to your questions? So obviously, your mum was in hospital for a while, and I'm guessing while she was in there, the nurses and the doctors were able to answer those questions. But now she's discharged. What's the process that you go through in Canada? Is there some sort of helpline, or are you guys looking online? I'm just thinking for people who are maybe, if somebody's come across it who's in this same situation, and there's something that that maybe other people don't know.
So first of all, I'm really lucky because in my family and everything, we have doctors and we have an inhalothérapeute. So it's a person that helps for the lungs. So if I have questions like that, my first instance to go talk to those persons, like my boyfriend's mother, she's a doctor, and it's not because of her, but she really helped us. So that's why my mother went to the hospital, because she found something that was weird for my mother. So I ask her every time I have little questions. I don't know what's going on in the house, or like if I have little things that's popping out of my head, any questions, I go talk to her. She's always available for me for those things. Or else I checked a little bit on internet, like what did it mean? But like we don't know about the COVID-19 or the coronavirus, like we don't know about it. So there's not a lot of information about that. But it's probably to talk to my persons that I know, that like the mother of my boyfriend, that I go. Or else if I have any questions, like last time I called to the hospital where my mother was to ask them questions, and they answer me good about that. There's like nothing to do. But or else we have a number that's called 811. That's more of that you speak to a nurse and you just ask her questions, and she's trying to answer you. So that's pretty much.
Sarah, have you noticed, I know it's still early days and you're still going through this big significant event in your life and your family's lives, but are you noticing already that any sort of key learnings or changes or anything that you guys have taken out of it? Has it altered your perspective on things? Are you seeing the virus or your life or your situation in different ways, for example? we had an earlier guest on the show talking about post-traumatic growth, which is a longer term process, but the concept that, some people, when going through a big traumatic sort of life-changing event, can use it as an opportunity to grow and learn about themselves and develop, whereas a lot of the time we're more familiar with the post-traumatic stress concept, where obviously it can go the other way and be quite a stressful and traumatic event. But like I said, it's obviously still early days for you guys in the midst of it. But have you already reflected and finding out that it's had an impact on the way that you're seeing things or behaving or relating to your mum or other people?
Like you said, it's a little bit early, or else, that I thought about changing my schedule of working because I work a lot of like night times. So maybe to find something else that I could change my schedule for, I could be more with my mother for things like that. Or like, for example, my mother, I know that she doesn't want to change job, but she wants to like not be 5 days a week, but more be like 2 days a week. So a lot of scheduling, I could say that we're talking about, that we could change about that. Or else, like, it's we're going day by day. We didn't thought about a lot of things like that. Sorry that I can't answer, but it's more for the schedule that we talked about. And that's pretty much.
Sarah, I'm gonna change track here, and I'm glad to know that your mother's doing better now. That's beautiful news. You mentioned at the beginning that you teach dance, and I'm really curious about this because obviously COVID is making it so people can't gather. So are you still teaching? And if you are, what's going on with that?
So let's say yes and no, because whenever all this happened, whenever my mom left to go to the hospital, I asked to have a break. I asked to stop working for that because it was like too hard for like being concentrate for my students to give my 100% to them. So it was hard that we do like Zoom we do, so we could see each other and we give dance courses. But it's funny to say, but next week I'm going back to work by Zoom, same thing. We don't see our children yet, nothing at all. But so I'm gonna have like a little dance with them. I prepared my dance. So I have a little cardio. After I have a little like stretching, and after we do the dance. So it's like a little bit of 40 minutes that we do just to say hi to my students, to know if everything's going well in their family. So slowly I'm starting back to go to work.
I'm interested in this, Sarah, because actually the other day I was doing a bit of a search on YouTube looking for dance lessons or starting dance things for my daughter who's 3. So I'm interested, one, what age are the people or the children that you're working with? And 2, do you have any recommendations for me and my daughter to become better at dancing through using online lessons?
There's what was the first question?
Sorry, what age are the children that you're working with?
My age. So we have at the dance class, but the dance school, we have groups of dance. But me, it's I do 7, 8, 9 years old. And for my biggest one, I go up to 10, up to 16. So it's really groups of people that I do, but I already did for 3 years old, but now I don't do for 3 years old anymore, but they were my favorite ones before. And if I have recommendation there's no age to start dancing first, and it's just for a pleasure that you're doing that. So you could be like doing the monkey or the elephant, whatever, just for fun. It's more a quality of time and family that we could see each other's, and no, there's no recommendation how to dance, how to move, how to, like, it's your style. It's you, how you express yourself on the dance.
Can you show me how to do the elephant? I don't think I've ever seen how to do that. That's a new dance for me.
Let's go with the ears and like the trunk.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Oh my gosh, you do that so well, Sarah. Really, I'm not sure what animal I look like when I dance, but I think it's a mix of a number. Yeah, it's not good. So I'm using this opportunity to try and, I guess, like show my daughter that it's okay to dance. But when I've got zero skill myself, it's very difficult. So I was just interested. I guess I was thinking about any channels, because I know there are some people that put stuff out there and they are for that age, that 3-year-old. But it is reaffirming to hear you say that it is just about having fun.
Yes.
Because I'm the sort of person who's very much focused on getting, can I actually become better at this? Because I suck at dancing. Like, I've put it out there now, everyone knows, but I thought maybe I can improve. But you've made me realize I was already focusing on that achievement side rather than actually the process of enjoying it. So that's valuable in itself to me.
Now, I wonder, Grigsby, like I hear the way that you talk, and it's the same way that people talk about singing. I can't sing or I can't draw, and obviously everybody can. It's just somehow we've gotten into our heads that we can't, and that growth mindset stuff, that fixed mindset stuff comes through. Sarah, how do you break through that? How do you break through someone going, I can't dance? Because I'm personally someone, I love dance. And it's been saving me during COVID-19. Sometimes I wake up in the morning and I just put on some music and I have like my own rave for like half an hour.
Jam.
Yeah, just jam, freestyle. Do the elephant. How do you break through that for people?
It's a good question, because there's not a lot of people that came and tell me that question, like, I can't dance. But if there's some, I'm just telling them, like, sorry, I can't hear what they just, sorry, like, I'm pretending that I don't understand, like, what they're telling me, like, for a little trick, and they're just like, okay, leave it, I didn't ask no questions. But or else I just say, just try it. Like, who cares? Like, who's to judge? You're doing it for you. You're doing it for fun. Like, just dance. And like, it's another thing if it's competition and everything. But like, for now on, everybody's stuck at home and everything. Don't say to yourself you can't dance. I don't know. It's a good question, but always to my student, I'm like, let's do it together, or like, let's try it together, or like, let's find another way to do it that you like it better, how to do it, things like that.
Sarah, I always come back around to my mind goes around to this line of thinking when listening to this conversation, and it also came up when we were speaking to David, who was on the show a few episodes back, who's a clown, entertainer, comedy person. If you haven't seen that or listened to that show, I really recommend it. It's about, I suppose, and I know this is the trap I fall into, if it's dancing or, God help me if I ever sort of sing publicly, but acting or anything like that, is that I get too up in my head and overthinking it, where in the conversation with David, he was talking about dropping down into your body and just feeling it and letting that sort of more natural inner sort of being come out and keeping your head out of it, because that's when you start criticising and being too self-conscious and that sort of thing, which really makes sense to me, but very hard to do, I find anyway, particularly maybe in our sort of Western culture or in the age that I am. I see my young kids who are totally the opposite, just can break into dancing at any time and just get into it with their bodies. Does that make sense to you? And do you have any tips or advice about how to quieten down your mind and just get into your body and go with it?
Maybe to be alone to start. Maybe whenever there's other people, that makes you shy, makes you don't feel like to, like, I don't know, like to bring it off or whatever. Maybe to start like that. Maybe with no mirror, like nothing to judge to you, or because we're really easy to judge on ourselves. So I would say to put a music that you like, to be alone, and just don't think about nothing, and just like what your hands are doing. They're feeling like that, like a little bit freestyling, and there's like no rules to that. So you can't judge you can't base yourself on something whenever there's no rules. Like, so put a music on you and just like feel what are you thinking about. If you just want to move your head and it goes like that, you're doing something, you're dancing. It's like that you're feeling. So maybe like it could be a nice part to connect with you, to be alone first, and just go ahead, or like just invent a move, whatever. Do like 5-foot steps and like a clap at the end. That's your move. I don't know. Things like that.
No, you're hitting on something really important there, Sarah. And it's something that, comes naturally to some people, but it can be built up, which is just being alone and feeling into your body and figuring out what is it that my body wants to do. And we don't ask that question. I grew up with a lot of hip hop dancing, and so there's very like controlled moves, but there's also a lot of freestyle. So that question of trying to figure out, well, what's my style? Like, what does my body like to do? Because it's a lot of physics as well, right? So your body naturally goes towards certain things. It's a great way to practice mindfulness, actually. I wanted to point out to you, Rizzi, and you, Sarah, I don't know if you've ever come across it, no lights, no lycra, which is this concept where we used to do it in person, but I think they're doing them online now, so you can look them up. But you turn off the lights at a dance party and they play music for an hour and you just dance in the dark. So there's no one really watching and you can just kind of do whatever you want. So you can try that alone. There's also a dance studio over here in Australia that as soon as COVID started, they started doing Facebook Lives every week on, I think, Friday night, where they teach you how to do different dances. So you can learn how to dance in your own boundary. Have your dance group done anything like that, Sarah?
No, I'm not. I'm not in a dance group. I was before, but not anymore.
Do you think that you would now?
It's a good question. I like better to create dances than to be in a dance for now. But like I could tell you that last September, I went to New York City to go take courses of dancing, because sometimes you're a teacher, so you need to to go get things, to know what other people are doing in the world of dancing too. So for now, no. And it's funny to say I'm 22 years old, but I'm old a little bit for that. It's funny to say, but yeah. So I don't know. I'm gonna see how it goes after this, but I still love dancing.
Sarah, I'm interested in what your current well-being program, so to speak, looks like at home. So what I mean by that is, I'm guessing your days are mainly inside at the moment in Canada. I'm guessing you're mainly in lockdown. And so what sort of things are you doing to try and, I guess, lift your mood and fill your days to give you enjoyment? So I'm guessing dance is part of it. And what other things?
I have a little dog, so take care of my dog, to go walk outside. I go walk a lot of times outside. Or else I'm training myself a little bit, because if for like 90 days I was like lying down and I was crying and everything. So I was like, okay, let me like get up and like start working back. So that's pretty much, or else I watch movies sometimes, but I drink a lot of water. It's funny to say, but I was not drinking a lot of water before, but now, yeah. So that's pretty much what do I do.
Sarah, unfortunately, I've just realised we've been speaking for quite a while, and I'm going to need we're going to need to almost finish off. I was just wondering if there's anything that we haven't yet spoken about that you maybe wanted to touch on, any areas of interest or anything that we haven't asked you about.
It's a good question. Just to say that, if somebody's in the family has the COVID-19 or has the coronavirus, just example, if they're going to the hospital, like we got it, like my mother had it to go to the hospital, like people there, they know what they're doing. Like they know what to doing, and the nurse and the doctor, they're there for you. Like I called so many times and everybody was there to answer me, ask all my questions and everything. So just don't be worried, and everything's going in control. That's pretty much.
That sounds like great advice, Sarah. And I'm going to break the rules a little bit here and ask another question, because I've realized we haven't asked it. And that is, how did you and your dad, that I believe is your family that was at home, how did you guys deal with that situation? What sort of things did you guys do to be able to deal with the uncertainty and the difficult time that you went through with your mum?
It was really hard, to be honest. It was really hard. We're like a family. We're three, and like we're always together. To like lose my mom or something like that was really hard for us. We had a lot of anxiety, a lot of that. So funny thing, I was drinking a lot of tea. I was drinking chamomile to like calm me down, or else like we stay always together, me and my father. Like even if there was telling us like to be in separate room, because I got it too. I had the coronavirus too, and my father too caught it. So we had it to be separate. But in the hard moments like that, what keeping us together, we was telling everything that we had it. Like if I was not feeling good, if I was happy or sad, I was telling him. Same thing for him. And we stayed always together, like always together. That was the strongest thing. Or else we was calling people to know like what's going on, things like that. Or else yeah, we was drinking a lot of tea. A lot of tea to come down and just be there for each other. That what's helped us.
So what I'm hearing is the cure to coronavirus is drinking lots of tea and maintaining most importantly social connections, which is what I mean. We've spoken about that a lot on this show, and it sounds like you guys were doing it both within your family and outside. So that's look, it's fantastic to hear, and wow, there's still so many questions that we've got, but we really appreciate your time today, Sarah, and we wish you and your family all the best in the coming months, and hope that they'll be better than maybe the last month.
Thank you so much.
Well, guys, thank you so much to everyone else who's joined us, and we request as always that you share, like, and subscribe. And if you've got any suggestions for us, we'd love to hear from you. And but in the meantime, you guys stay healthy, world.